And now it's time for Make It Happen with David Lorms. He is an award-winning insurance expert, best-selling author, and business owner talking about how to make your life, your career, and business better. Here's David.
Welcome, everybody, to our first show, Make It Happen with David Lorms. Thank you for joining us today. And we've got a lovely woman that's joined us today. Her name is Alicia Garcia, and she is a family law attorney that also does wills and probates, has a very fascinating and interesting story, and we're going to learn how she made it happen, how she became such a success in law. Good morning, Alicia. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
The pleasantries out of the way. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Who is Alicia Garcia? How'd you get started? Where are you from?
I was born in Mexico, and I came to the United States when I was about 6 years old.
So you speak Spanish. Hablas español.
I do. I'm bilingual.
That's great. Being bilingual is a good thing here in Texas, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So grew up at until the age of 6, and then what happened?
My dad passed away, and we moved to California to live with my mom's parents, and we lived there for a few years, and then we moved to Houston.
Okay. So what made you move to Houston?
My mom got married, and we lived here for several years, and then we moved back to California.
Couldn't make up your mind.
Well, she did get divorced.
Okay.
And then we moved back to Texas when I was about 25 years old. I moved here when I transferred here after I was working at a bank for several years.
So you were educated here in the U.S.?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Do you have a dual citizenship?
No, I became a citizen of the United States when I was 20. And when you did that, you give up the Mexican citizenship.
Okay. All right. Well, tell me about school. What did you do for school?
After I got married, I went back to school and I got my undergrad degree, and then I went to law school. And
so didn't you meet your husband in school earlier in life, and y'all reconnect later when you moved back to Houston?
Yes, we met in high school, and then when I moved back to Texas, we met again in just through some friends, and then we got married, and he encouraged me to go to school.
Well, you were telling me an interesting story about how y'all were just friends in high school.
Yes.
And then when you moved back to Houston, you reconnected, and you saw him. Wasn't he working for the fire department then?
Yes, he was.
And tell me about that.
We went to school. I went to visit him at one of the fire stations, and when I saw him, I said, I'm going to marry that guy.
You said, he looks good in that uniform. Isn't that right?
Well, I did say that.
That's great. So you married a fireman, so that's great. And you were both in college at the time, right?
Yes, he was going back to school, and I went back to school after we had our first daughter, and I got my undergrad.
So you were in college at the time,
Mm-hmm.
You were married, and then had your first child.
Yes.
And both of y'all were in college.
Yes.
How was that? With being a mom, being a spouse, going to school, what kind of challenges did you have?
Well, it was very challenging, and I thought it was hard, but he was always very encouraging to me to go back to school. And
well, how did you manage your time? I mean, you had a child, you had classes,
and work,
and you were a spouse.
Yes.
So you had lots of people that you had to make happy. How did you do it?
Well, it was with his help, a lot of his help and support. I couldn't have done that without him. And then when I finished, the next logical step was to go to law school, of course.
Right.
And again, without his help, it could not have happened. And then we had another child.
Oh my gosh.
That's the first semester I found out I was pregnant. And the funny part was I went to the doctor and I thought I was just stressed. And she said, "No, you're pregnant."
Okay, ladies, warning. If you feel stressed, you might be pregnant. All right. So
Then of course, finished law school, and in between all of that, I mentioned to you that my mom, we found out that she had been diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer.
Gosh.
So I took a semester off, and I moved to California and helped her.
So back to California.
Back to California.
Third time.
And so I took a semester off, and I helped her with that. And she's fine. She's cancer-free.
Thank the Lord.
And we spent some time, my daughter and I, the baby and I spent some time there with her for approximately 3 months.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And finished law school, and I took the bar exam, passed it.
Okay, now let's back up, because you're skipping a lot of the story that you told me earlier, which was entertaining and quite informational. So you were a mom, an undergrad, a spouse, working. So you had all of those things going on. Did you ever think, gosh, this is just too tough, I'm going to give up and just be a mom, or mom and work? And how did you keep the passion alive to continue to go on with your education?
I think a lot of it is you just see the end. You think, I want to finish, I want to accomplish this. Law school, I think, was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And the only thing you think is, I want to finish. I don't want to begin something and not finish it. And all I could see was graduation and practicing. And the only thing you do is you just work as hard as you can.
Now, when you got out of undergrad, you went to work for a bank, right?
No, when I finished my degree with criminal justice, I taught school for a year.
Oh, okay.
And I applied for law school, and then I got accepted. And I really liked teaching school. I was thinking almost, if I don't get accepted in law school, I was going to become a school teacher. But I did get accepted in law school, and so I went to school.
But didn't you tell me that what really inspired you was while working at a bank, you said, hey, how come people are getting paid more than me?
I kept seeing these younger loan officers come in making more money, and they were getting younger and younger, and that's when I complained to my husband, and he said, well, go back to school and get your degree. So
that's good advice.
That was good advice. And that's what I did. I went back to school.
And then that's when you had I'm nervous, but now I'm pregnant.
No, the nervous but pregnant was when I was in law school, my very first semester. She said, no, you're not stressed, you're not nervous, you're pregnant. And that was my third child.
So while you were in school, you had mentioned to me that you would come back to school on a Monday, and all the other students had been partying all weekend, and yet not you.
Not me. Some of the younger students in law school were enjoying their youth. I was older, and I just knew I had two little ones at home, and sometimes in my law career I did have my third kiddo, and it was hard to see that they were having a good time and enjoying themselves, but I just knew I had to work hard. So it was about time management.
Time management. That's right. And plus, you kept that goal alive, right?
Yes.
What inspired you? Who in your life actually motivated you, inspired you to go for your dream?
I'm going to have to say it was my dad. My dad had been a doctor, and he graduated from medical school when I was born. And I know that he was in school when I was, I have an older brother, so he was in school with two young kids. And looking back, I know that he got really good grades in school with a young family, and it must have been hard for him. And he did it. He accomplished his dream.
Right.
So in my office, I have his medical degree and his a diploma that he received that he made Dean's List in his fourth year medical school. And it's an honor to me to have that on my wall, because it inspired me throughout my life to know that if he could accomplish that, then I could accomplish that as well.
I think that's a great point to make, because if you have something visual in front of you, like your father's framed paperwork, you can see it every day, and it motivates you and inspires you, does it not?
Yes.
I think that's wonderful. So that's good advice for people out there. If you got a dream or a goal, have something visual in front of you that will remind you when times get tough. I mean, gosh, you had all this stuff going on. You were married, you had kids, you were in school, going back and forth to California. A lot of people might be in that same position or even less and just think, I'm going to give up. And you didn't.
Well, and, I've got to give credit to my husband. He helped me tremendously with my children. He was there for them, and I know that he attended all the PTA meetings and he took care of them. A lot of firefighters have second jobs, side jobs, and he didn't. The children were the side job.
Well, he sounds like a great guy. I'm sure a lot of ladies out there are going to want to know if he has any single brothers. He sounds like a saint, so a shout out to Mr. Garcia.
He was a great dad. Oh, he is a great dad. Great husband. And
so you've got two kids now.
Three children.
Three children.
Two are grown, and one's still at home.
Right. Well, you must be very proud of all of these accomplishments that you've made to where you are now.
Well, I know it's been hard, but I like helping people. I think this has given me an avenue to help others that need help, and I think this is one way to do it.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more in our next segment about what you do and how you do it and with the passion that you have. Meanwhile, we want to let the listeners know that they can tweet any of the questions that they might have at DavidL2490. Any questions you might have for Alicia, how she accomplished some of these goals, how she turned some of these challenges into motivation. You can also like us on Facebook at Make It Happen with David Lorms on Facebook and post questions there, and follow us for upcoming guests. And we also want to thank Jose Madrigal, who he and his band True Soul provided the music that you'll be listening to during the program. So thank you, Jose. And we'll have more with Alicia very soon. Do you trust your insurance agent? Hi, my name is David Lorms. Anyone can sell you insurance, but I have the unique perspective and experience of being a former claims professional. It's when you need to use your insurance that you really depend on a seasoned professional where customer satisfaction is number one. I can be reached at 713-688-8669, and all calls are rolled to my personal cell phone after hours. You can also visit lormsinsuranceservices.com. Hey, I have to sleep at night, so I need to make sure you're covered.
Tired of going to the same restaurants every week? Want to know what new eateries have opened up recently in your area? Tune in to the Fort Bend Food Rampage as the Food Monsters, Dominique and Priya, dish about their favorite restaurants and keep you updated on local events. Tune in every Wednesday at noon on kbrzsports.com for our live show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook at Food Monsters.
Texas Community Referral Network is all about the community. Have access to the best businesses on our local websites and numerous money-saving offers on our free mobile app. Go to tcrnhouston.com to find your community website and visit your mobile app store to install the free TCRN app and start saving today. TCRN, connecting you with the community.
Are you looking for a new vehicle in the near future? If so, be sure to contact Damian Walker over at Freddie Kia. Damian went to the University of Houston and is from Houston. He is Houston through and through. If you're looking for a new vehicle, contact Damian at Freddie Kia. His number is 713-499-9372. No unnecessary upsells, no bells and whistles you don't want, just a car that's perfect for you. Contact Damian Walker at Freddie Kia today, 713-499-9372. Left-hander Tristan Gray looks to get things going against him here in the sixth. First pitch hit high and deep into the air, right field. Back at the wall, looking up, it's gone! Tristan Gray in the bottom of the sixth inning ties this one up at 3. Just like that deep home run, we blast off every Wednesday at 2 p.m. here on Chin Music, sponsored by Damian Walker at Freddie Kia. Fort Bend's premier all-baseball show. Check us out on kbrzsports.com and follow us on Twitter at FBChinMusic.
KBRZ Sports Radio strives to bring our listeners the most up-to-date, comprehensive high school varsity sports coverage available in the Fort Bend County area. We're committed to providing the latest news and information on standings, statistics, schedules, team and school information, as well as community-focused programs. Our programs allow our advertisers the opportunity to share information about their products and services with our audience. Advertisers can target their ideal customers, build brand awareness and customer loyalty, grow their businesses, and partner with a company that is rooted and committed to the Fort Bend County community. For advertising information, call Russ Johns at 206-930-7440 or log on to www.kbrzsports.com.
Looking over, are you curious? Cause if you are, then you know I take it serious. At least you think it's funny when you wink in your eye. Cause when I say let's get together, why you passing me by? You see
And we're back. Today we have Alicia Garcia of the law offices of Alicia V. Garcia telling us her story about what has helped her be successful as a family law and will and probate attorney. But before we get back to Alicia, we want to thank Houston City Living Leasing and Realty that has sponsored the show. They are a real estate company in Houston. They service all of Texas, but specialize in certain areas. And they can help you if you want to buy a house, sell a house, and they specialize in leasing and rentals as well. So give the good folks over there at Houston City Living a call, and you can contact them on the web at HoustonCityLiving.com, or I think it's HCL.com, and give them a call. Okay, Alicia, so during the break you were telling me a pivotal point in your life that changed, and so tell us about that. What was that point in your life that changed?
Well, one of the basic life-changing events we had is when my dad passed away. We were living in Mexico. He was a successful doctor, and he died suddenly. It was a tragic accident, and we moved to California. And the reason for that is because we found ourselves at a, like I said, it was a life-changing event. It was we were unprepared. And my mom had 4 children to raise. My sister was only 6 months old, and she had 4 children without the means to support herself. So we moved to California so she can be with her parents.
So your dad, who was a doctor, passed away, and y'all had a pretty comfortable living, right?
Yes.
Could we say that y'all were wealthy?
Yes.
And that went away when your dad passed?
Yes. Night to day. It was just,
really?
And there was a small life insurance policy. He was 32 years old, so he didn't think anything could happen to him.
Right.
Invincible. And when something like that happens, it just, changes everything. And
it's so important to have life insurance, don't you think?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, it doesn't matter the age. You really should have it, because you never know when something's going to happen.
And it's not for you. It's for the people you leave behind. It's for your children and for your spouse, because, like I said, she just wasn't prepared. My mother was not prepared to deal with, losing her spouse, but then how to raise her family. She didn't have the ability to she was a housewife. She was a lady who lunched. And so, she just wasn't prepared. She didn't have the skills to raise us. And so that really was a shock to everyone. And it was really for the best, I guess, that she had parents who could help her. But had he been better prepared for that situation, I think it would have been better for everyone.
Well, I think that is a good point to make, that inspired you to become an attorney that handles wills and probates, because you had that experience.
Yes, and it also taught me that as a woman, how, you have to be prepared. You can't rely on your spouse to take care of you. You have to be independent of that and say, I have an education or I have the skills to be able to raise my own family through death or divorce, to be able to take care of yourself.
Not just women, but men too.
Well, yeah, that too. But especially as a woman, because that happened to my mom.
Right. Because she was a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't able to pick up the pieces easily and make the same kind of living that your father was making for the family.
Sure. And well, it was early 60s, and that's what women did. You know, you were a beautiful person, and you just, as a woman, you sewed and you cooked and you had children, and that was what was expected of you.
Well, I like that you took that experience and used it to inspire and motivate you to not give up on your goal of education, career, and then helping other people set up the means through wills and probates to protect their families because yours wasn't.
Correct. And, you know, again, I give a lot of credit to my husband who encouraged me to do that. A lot of, well, especially in the Hispanic community, they have that sense of, well, I'll take care of you, or why do you need to get an education? That's not my husband. He's always encouraged me to be independent and look out for myself.
That's great that you had someone so supportive in your life.
Yes.
Because you've accomplished quite a bit and you had a lot of challenges.
Yes.
Do you ever look back at it and go, wow, how did I do it?
Oh, I do. Especially, I look back on that. I must have been crazy to think I could do that. Because I didn't start law school as a 22-year-old. You know, I was an older person.
Right. And a mom.
And a mom, yes. I remember putting my kids to bed at 6 o'clock in the evening and saying, okay, it's time to go to bed. And they're like, sun's still out, Mom. Nope. They didn't know how to tell time yet. And they were ready to stay awake. But it's like, nope, time to go to bed.
Because you had to study.
50 pages per book per night. So there was a lot of reading.
Wow.
So
you stayed on a schedule, and that's what you were talking about with time management as a key tool to use to accomplish your goal. And it just sounds like that you had a mindset that this is what I'm going to do and never allowed any other thought to enter your head to distract you from that goal.
No, because I had friends who got put on a list to say, if you can't get it this semester, you're out.
Probation.
Yeah, academic probation. And I thought, well, I want to be here next semester. I want to continue to be here. So you just did what you needed to do to accomplish that. And and then you want to pass the bar on the first try. So you want to.
Now that's something interesting, because the bar, I have heard, is one of the hardest tests you can take. And so for someone to pass it the first time is a huge accomplishment in itself. But you, a mom, a spouse, a mom of 3 kids, a spouse, working, studying, and you pass it the first time. So are you an idiot savant? What is your IQ? I mean, really, that is a lot of tough challenges.
No, I don't think I'm an idiot. I know that's a good thing, but it sounds bad. No, I just I was just very happy to get it over with. I was glad to pass.
What how did you do it? I mean, because I'm telling you, there's some challenges I've had where I've had those moments where I'm like, you know what, I can't do it.
I remember studying for the bar. I had my books all set up, and we had a hurricane, and we lost power. And my husband said, let's go to a hotel. And I thought, you go. I can't move my stuff. I have everything set, and if I move anything, it won't, I won't be able to get it right. So you get to that point where you're almost crazy. But, you just, I don't know.
So did you study by candlelight?
Almost. My older daughter was going to Girl Scout camp, and I borrowed her flashlight and her fan, her lantern, everything that I needed to do, and yes, I did, almost by candlelight. But I couldn't move things the way I had them set up. You
did the order, so
you just had to get. I just looked at them and say, "You go, I'm staying."
Okay, so that moment, I guess, when you found out you were on the list for passing the bar, how did you feel?
I felt relieved I didn't have to take it again. But I was working for this company, and I walked in, and the secretary told me I'd passed. She screamed, and she goes, "You passed!" And I thought she was kidding. She showed me on the computer, and I really thought she was joking. I couldn't believe it either. So I thought, what's the joke? And she said, no, you really did pass. I was on the list. And I was just relieved. I was very relieved.
Well, that's amazing, because I'm telling you what, I don't know. I know several attorneys that did not pass it on the first try, and they had to do it again. And I think that says a lot about you. So congratulations to you. So now you're out of law school, and you went to work, and that's when you moved back to California for your mom, right?
No, it was during law school that I went to California.
Oh, okay.
For several months to help her. But once I passed the bar, I stayed here, and I worked in employment law for 5 years.
How'd you like that?
I enjoyed it. It was very good. It was a good experience to do the employment law for several years. I just found it didn't it didn't do what I needed to do. I didn't feel like that's what I went to law school for, and that's why I changed directions after 5 years.
So your passion was speaking to you.
Yes.
It was saying, hey, you're not on the right track. So you have to listen to that little voice that says, this isn't for you. Let's move on to the next. And that's when you moved to family law, correct?
Yes.
And will and probate. I can see why that would be a passion for you. And so being bilingual and working in that field, I'm sure that you've had plenty of opportunities to deal with some pretty volatile situations.
Oh, you can say that too.
The movie War of the Roses comes to mind.
And then some.
Yes, okay. Well, I think that is pretty challenging in itself too.
Well, it does. You have to draw the line sometimes so it doesn't take over your life. You don't get so involved. You have to keep it where, it doesn't overwhelm you.
Right.
You have to,
because you could take it on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You get invested in these people.
And it doesn't, right. You have to care enough, but you also have to say, I can't answer the phone after 5 o'clock anymore. I can't. You care, but you cannot let it take it over.
So you continue the time management skills that you learned earlier to keep your private life, something that you enjoy from your work life, because it can be consuming for a lot of people, not just attorneys.
Yes, and because these are people's lives. Their experiences, they can become yours, and you can't let that happen.
Right. Because
you still have to give to your own family. You still have to give to the rest of the clients. So you have to draw the line where you care about them and you provide a service, but at some point it also you have to draw the line
and stick to it. That's the key, right? Stick to it. Okay, well, before we go to station break, I want to mention again the kind folks at Houston City Living, Leasing and Realty, who are sponsoring the show. I messed up their website earlier. It's HoustonHCL.com. They are located at 2211 West 34th Street in Houston. Their phone number is 281-845-4425. So if you have a house for sale or are looking to upgrade into a newer house or moving to the area, need to lease a place or rent a place, give them a call. They've got lots of experience. I know them personally. They're good friends of mine, and they really care, and they give you the best service possible. So next, we're going to have Alicia Garcia tell us a little more advice on how to be successful.
Looking for a way to be involved in Fort Bend ISD varsity sports? Want to sponsor a team, game, or hear your child's name mentioned during a Fort Bend ISD varsity game? KBRZ Sports can broadcast your business or personal message for a reasonable price. Contact our sales department at www.kbrzsports.com for more information on how you can be part of Fort Bend ISD Sports. KBRZ Sports, connecting Fort Bend County business owners, families, and Fort Bend ISD varsity sports. Performance Pilates and GTC Gym and Training Center in Greatwood are your answer to getting spring break swimsuit ready. We offer private and small group personal training and Pilates classes. GTC now with 24-hour access. Call 281-224-0013. More information at greatwoodtrainingcenter.com or performance-pilates.com.
Are you looking for a new vehicle in the near future? If so, be sure to contact Damian Walker over at Freddie Kia. Damian went to the University of Houston and is from Houston. He is Houston through and through. If you're looking for a new vehicle, contact Damian at Freddie Kia. His number is 713-499-9372. No unnecessary upsells, no bells and whistles you don't want, just a car that's perfect for you. Contact Damian Walker at Freddie Kia today, 713-499-9372.
KBRZSports.com is your home for Fort Bend ISD varsity sports, all Sugarland Scooters away games, Fort Bend Playbook, Fort Bend Spotlight, Coach's Corner with Fort Bend ISD Athletic Director Philip O'Neill, Fort Bend Food Rampage, and Skeeter Nation. Check back often at KBRZSports.com for the latest scheduled events, activities, and outings in the Fort Bend community. KBRZ Sports, kids, communities, and commerce.
This is M.A. Pape, and I'm inviting you to join Ashton Jean Lewis and I every Thursday at 4 p.m. for the Fort Bend Playbook.
These guys are very versatile. They're very skilled players. And, I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are very good on defense, and this offense can pretty much run anything you tell them to.
He has been ranked the #1 second baseman in the state of Texas. The Fort Bend Playbook every Thursday at 4 p.m. at KBRZSports.com. Because if it's Fort Bend ISD Athletics, we've got it covered.
Do you trust your insurance agent? Hi, my name is David Lorms. Anyone can sell you insurance, but I have the unique perspective and experience of being a former claims professional. It's when you need to use your insurance that you really depend on a seasoned professional where customer satisfaction is number one. I can be reached at 713-688-8669, and all calls are rolled to my personal cell phone after hours. You can also visit lormsinsuranceservices.com. Hey, I have to sleep at night, so I need to make sure you're covered.
No matter what I do, echoes of your laughter and the scent of your...
And we're back listening to the smooth tunes of True Soul by our good friend Jose Madrigal, who owns Studio Fitness in the Heights. And this is some of his band's music, and we are really enjoying it. Hope you are too. Thanks, Jose. And we want to mention the sponsor of the show once again, Houston City Living, Leasing, and Realty. They specialize in home buying, home selling, leasing, renting, you name it, they do it. They have great customer service, great reputation. Please give them a call at 281-845-4425 or visit them at houstonhcl.com. Now, we're back with Alicia Garcia, who does family law and wills and probate. And we were talking during the break a little bit about wills and probate and why they're important and why you should have them. So why don't you repeat what you were telling me during the break?
I think one very important part about having a will, well, first let me start with this. Death is never an easy thing to cope with, and it can affect people in many different ways.
Sure.
But the idea of having a will, and people say, well, I really don't have anything. I don't have any property. But I think anybody that has children or anybody that has a piece of property, a piece of realty, should have a will. And the reason for that is because you don't want to leave it to fate, I guess. And after a person passes away, a death certificate is issued. And you think, well, let somebody else handle that, or it'll be taken care of. Well, if you don't have a will, title to your property can't
be transferred
properly. So when you have a will and you say, well, I've got a will, I'm good, the number one most important thing that you need to remember is a will must be probated within 4 years. In Texas. Otherwise, it's those if you didn't have a will. And a lot of people may not be aware of that fact.
Well, let's talk about what probate means. Some people may not know what that means.
Probate is just a term that says that you take the will to probate court and prove up that it's a valid will.
Then you have to do that within 4 years of the passing of the person.
Correct.
Or it expires.
Exactly.
So grandma, who holds on to grandpa's will after he's passed, thinking, I'll have this money when I retire or whatever, she needs to do something right away or it could become invalid.
4 years and 3 days later, that will it has no effect. So do it within 4 years of the person passing. That's the important part to remember.
Well, what happens to the property and everything that the person owns if they don't probate it?
Well, it depends. Certain things don't need to go through probate. For instance, if you have a bank account, if you have a beneficiary that's named, doesn't need to go through probate. So it's really the real property that needs to be cleared. The title needs to be cleared. But there's other property that needs, for instance, land, oil and gas, other mineral interest that you need to clear through that. But the reason that I think it's important, and people might say, well, I don't really need a will because I don't own anything. I don't have oil and gas. I don't have any...
I get that all the time. I hear people say, I don't need a will. I have cardboard boxes for furniture, and I live in a tent. And so if I die, they can just put me in the dumpster. But that's really not fair because someone is going to have to take care of your remains in some way.
And not only that, but there may be a situation where you might have a cause of action that might happen because, you're driving down the freeway and have a 18-wheeler accident that was completely out of your situation.
Right.
There may be many situations as to why you may need a will, but the reason, I guess the most important thing that I want anybody to get out of this whole conversation is if you have a will, 4 years. Probate it within 4 years.
Yeah.
That's
Make
the
sure
number
you do
one
something
thing.
with that will
Within
after 4 years.
Within 4 years.
Why do you think it's tough to get people to make wills?
I think a lot of people just don't want to talk about it. They just think it's bad luck. You bring on...
Who wants to talk about death?
Right. People don't want to talk about it. They don't want to deal with it. Or they feel like, well, I'm not going to be here. It doesn't affect me.
But
right.
You wish your parents had done that.
Exactly.
Because your father passed at a very young age, and your life changed dramatically from riches to rags, I guess you could say.
It really did. And, I think, in fact, he was a doctor. And doctors have this, I'm invincible, I manage life and death every day. And so he really felt untouchable.
Right.
And, he was involved in a tragic accident, so he really wasn't counting on it. He was thinking, and there was a small life insurance that his uncle had. He worked for his uncle in a hospital. And had it not been for that small life insurance, we would have had nothing. So I'm thinking, it isn't for you. You won't be here, true. But it's for your children. It's for your spouse. So, you've got to think of them.
And so when you're talking with people in family law, is this something that you usually discuss if there is a divorce or some kind of issue like that? Let's make sure you have wills set up too.
I do. I do cover that.
That's good.
Some family lawyers don't, or may not mention that, but I do make that part of my my package.
What about life insurance? Do you try to make that a part of settlements or get them to address that?
That's interesting. I never have thought of that.
Well, I've had some probate, will, family law attorneys say, yes, that's part of the settlement.
Part of an estate.
Yeah, part of the estate that there is a life insurance policy to protect the children.
Sure. Sometimes that's a requirement as part of a property division that they'll bring up. It just depends on the size of an estate that's being divided.
Sure. So you should have at least a will that is, when someone passes, that you do something with within 4 years. So you really should do it right away so you don't forget about it.
It just depends. A lot of people, sometimes they're grieving. They may be other issues that come up that maybe they can't find it. That's why when I draft a will, I make sure and explain to the person who is your executor. Make sure your executor is aware.
Mm-hmm.
Give it to them, or don't go lock it away in a safe deposit box. Doesn't do anybody any good. Don't put it in a shoe box where no one can find it for several years. It doesn't do you any good.
Right. Because it doesn't matter where it's been hidden or stored. If you don't do something with it within 4 years, it's ineffective.
Right. If the person dies without a will, or if they find it 7 or 8 years later, same effect.
Right. So what advice would you give to some folks that have elderly parents to address, hey, do you have a will, and do you have that situation come up?
Yes, I do, if they are still competent,
right,
lucid, to be able to discuss that with them and bring them to an attorney.
I'm very fortunate in that my parents have done that, and they have let all of us know who and what and when and why and all that kind of good stuff. But I think that there's a lot of people who are dealing with aging parents who not only do they need to set up wills for themselves, because I'll hear them talk about the parents, and I will say to them, hey, do you have one? Well, not yet. I don't need one yet. Well, you do.
Well, they call us the sandwich generation for a reason. We're raising kids and we're helping our parents. Right. And so we're right in the middle. And a lot of us are so busy with doing that we don't take care of ourselves. And you're right. We don't take care of our own situation, and anything can happen. And then everybody's out of luck, our kids and our parents.
Right.
So we do need to take care of our own needs, kind of like when you're in an airplane and they say, make sure that you put on that oxygen mask first, because then you can't help your own child. So take care of your own, estate planning needs, and then you can help. That way you're looking out for your child, and then you can help those around you.
Right.
And most of the time it is your parents.
Well, I'll talk to people sometimes that are single, and they'll say, well, I don't. I'm like, but you never know. You might not be for the rest of your life.
Sure. And, a will is written in such of a language that unless you have a qualifying event such as a marriage, a divorce, or a death, that it'll be a document that's good for a long time. You don't have to get a new will every year.
Right.
So even if you get one is in your youthful age, such as yours.
Oh, I don't know about that.
it'll be good for another 20, 30 years.
Right.
You don't have to get a new will,
Well, really, if nothing changes, doesn't the original one still remain valid?
Sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Unless, like I said, you have a death, a marriage, or divorce. Your will is good to go.
So young people out there, you need to get a will. Make sure your parents have all that paperwork set up. And Alicia's a good person to contact. You can reach her at 832-277-1400. You can visit her website at aliciavgarcialawyer.com. She is bilingual, so Spanish and English, or Spanglish. Any of those three, I guess. You can give her a call, and she can help you with family law, wills, probate, and healthcare type situations, and we can talk more about that later. But we want to thank again the good folks at Houston City Living, Leasing and Realty, that if you want to buy a home, sell a home, relocate, lease an apartment or a house, rent, they can help you out. And they are great folks to work with. I know them personally. And their phone number is 281-845-4425. Or you can visit HoustonHCL.com and get more information about them. But they are some great folks over there, and we want to thank them for sponsoring the show. And we'll be listening to some more tunes from True Soul, our good friend Jose Madrigal, as we go to our next station break.
Looking for a way to be involved in Fort Bend ISD varsity sports? Want to sponsor a team, game, or hear your child's name mentioned during a Fort Bend ISD varsity game? KBRZ Sports can broadcast your business or personal message for a reasonable price. Contact our sales department at www.kbrzsports.com for more information on how you can be part of Fort Bend ISD Sports. KBRZ Sports, connecting Fort Bend County business owners, families, and Fort Bend ISD varsity sports. Performance Pilates and GTC Gym and Training Center in Greatwood are your answer to getting spring break swimsuit ready. We offer private and small group personal training and Pilates classes. GTC now with 24-hour access. Call 281-224-0013. More information at greatwoodtrainingcenter.com or performance-pilates.com.
KBRZSports.com is your home for Fort Bend ISD varsity sports, all Sugarland Scooters away games, Fort Bend Playbook, Fort Bend Spotlight, Coach's Corner with Fort Bend ISD Athletic Director Philip O'Neill, Fort Bend Food Rampage, and Skeeter Nation. Check back often at KBRZSports.com for the latest scheduled events, activities, and outings in the Fort Bend community. KBRZ Sports, kids, communities, and commerce.
Are you looking for a new vehicle in the near future? If so, be sure to contact Damian Walker over at Freddie Kia. Damian went to the University of Houston and is from Houston. He is Houston through and through. If you're looking for a new vehicle, contact Damian at Freddie Kia. His number is 713-499-9372. No unnecessary upsells, no bells and whistles you don't want, just a car that's perfect for you. Contact Damian Walker at Freddie Kia today, 713-499-9372.
Texas Community Referral Network is all about the community. Have access to the best businesses on our local websites and numerous money-saving offers on our free mobile app. Go to tcrnhouston.com to find your community website and visit your mobile app store to install the free TCRN app and start saving today. TCRN, connecting you with the community.
Do you trust your insurance agent? Hi, my name is David Lorms. Anyone can sell you insurance, but I have the unique perspective and experience of being a former claims professional. It's when you need to use your insurance that you really depend on a seasoned professional where customer satisfaction is number one. I can be reached at 713-688-8669, and all calls are rolled to my personal cell phone after hours. You can also visit lormsinsuranceservices.com. Hey, I have to sleep at night, so I need to make sure you're covered.
Gone too far and now you've lost all your tracks. I wanted to get to know you. I didn't want to be a stranger. But if you would have really...
And we're back listening to some more good music from True Soul, our good friend Jose Madrigal, who's the owner of Studio Fitness in the Heights. And we're here with Alicia Garcia, who does family law, will, and probate. And we've got some questions over Twitter at DavidL2490 for Alicia. You can also like us on Facebook at Make It Happen with David Lorms to send us questions or see upcoming guests. And the first question we have is from Nick on Twitter, who says, what's a power of attorney exactly, and when do you need it?
Well, a power of attorney is a written document that authorizes one person to perform some lawful act that you could do for yourself if you were personally present at the time. Let's say that you authorize David to act for you and you're out of the country. So you are allowing that person to stand in your shoes. Obviously, you have to have great trust in that person. Because he can now represent you at the tax office. He can go close the bank account for you.
So you don't want to ask Bertie Madoff to...
definitely not.
Have power of attorney. Okay, good advice.
He can transfer the car title. He can transfer title to land. He can open or close bank accounts. Enter into contracts for you.
I think he could do that.
Settle claims for you. So you definitely need to have someone you trust.
Seriously, yeah.
And then once you sign that power of attorney, and There's a couple of different types of power of attorneys, and I'll differentiate the difference. I'll mention the differences. One of them is called a durable power of attorney, which is personal business transactions like that. The other is a medical power of attorney. And the medical power of attorney is if you're unconscious and the doctor comes in and says, I need someone to be able to sign for this medical test or these operations. So it's not end-of-life decisions. It's just basically decisions. He's unconscious. You said, oh, I'm on the list. Here's my power of attorney. Go ahead and do that medical test. Here, go ahead and do the operation. Okay. So you've allowed someone to step in as your agent. And that's an important thing. Otherwise, the doctors won't make the decision for you. The durable power of attorney is the one with the transfer of title, the opening bank accounts. That's the personal business transactions.
So really, when do you need those? Is there a certain age, or?
You can do that anytime when you feel that if I'm incompetent for whatever reason, or I'm out of the country, and I want that person to be able to make those transactions because I'm running a business.
Right.
I want somebody to be able to step up for me.
Gotcha. So business owners do this when they travel outside the country.
Or spouses.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, or I have one from my husband. My husband's continually out on the field, and I got to call the credit union, and I'll say, I need a copy of our 1099, and he's the one. They send it to him.
So just because you're married doesn't give you the right.
Bingo.
Really?
And I've had that happen. And I said, but I've been doing business with you, and I'm on the bank account. Sorry, you're not on that loan.
So really, if you're married, you needed a power of attorney.
Yes.
Right away, and so I can see why everyone needs one at any time.
And the thing about that durable power of attorney, and that's the difference. One's medical, one's durable. And durable just means that it is effective even if I become incompetent, even if I am no longer competent because of disease or illness. It's effective. It is recorded with the county clerk's office, so any third party can rely on it. The title company can say, oh, it is valid. The bank can look it up and say it's valid because it's been notarized and he meant for this to be valid. That's the only power of attorney that's recorded.
Well, I have it. Now I know why. I didn't know exactly why I needed it, but I'm so glad you explained that to us. Okay, our next question is from Jana from our Twitter at DavidL2490. They said, if you're married, do you and your spouse have to be there at the same time for power of attorney?
No, they don't have to be there together. Basically, what you're doing,
I guess.
Well, for either document, either a will or a power of attorney, those are individual documents, and the reason for that is because you're naming your agents. Your spouse may want to name a different agent or a different beneficiary, or a different executor. These are individual documents that you want to name. Now, if you're both using the same attorney to draft these documents for you, the attorney will more likely draft a separate document stating that you have given that attorney permission to act as the same attorney for both of you, because you are giving that attorney individual, private, confidential information that you might not want your spouse to know.
Right.
You might be naming girlfriend as a beneficiary, and I'm being facetious here.
Yeah,
but you might be naming.
Good thing it's private.
You might be naming your mother-in-law, and maybe your wife hates mother-in-law, you know, or your sister, and they've never gotten along. So you know, so
that's good to know that it remains private.
Wills are sometimes called I love you wills, because they are exactly the same. They're mirror wills. You know, you name the same exact beneficiaries, you name exactly the same executors, and you may not. So sometimes, but you both don't have to be there, if that was the original question. You may use different attorneys to do it.
Have you ever seen it where a will was read or anything like that, and Lulu the nanny got everything?
You'd be surprised.
Really?
I know in Texas you have no obligation to leave your children as beneficiaries.
Really?
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Is there any recourse that family members can legally take? I know they do, but I mean, do they have the right? You
can contest the beneficiary when you feel that there was undue influence, that Lulu the nanny maybe was, working mom or dad. Well, they were maybe, telling mom and dad, oh, your children hate you, or they don't ever come around, look who's taking care of you, and they were elderly, and maybe they were exerting.
So if there's some
influence.
grounds, then it can be contested.
They can, but remember, there's no law that says that you have to leave the money to your children. I think Louisiana is the only state that does require that you leave your children as beneficiaries. Louisiana's a little bit different than everyone
we
else
love
in the state.
Louisiana.
Yes, we do. They have their own method of doing things.
And food and all kinds of things.
Yes,
I love that place. Okay, we've got another question from Elizabeth off Twitter at DavidL2490, and she wants to know how. What the question reads is, how does it apply to same-sex couples?
What, leaving a will?
I would assume that's what they're asking. Will or power of attorney, and marriage isn't legal in
legally
Texas.
Recognized in Texas, but you have the right to leave your property to whoever you want.
And do families contest that?
They can contest again. It's the same problem.
But they have to prove.
They can, undue influence, but it's your property, and you can leave it to whoever you want. You can leave it to the Red Cross. You can leave it to whoever you desire, and it's your property. So again, it's their burden to prove any undue influence.
But I think the point that I would like to see made is that while both of these documents are extremely important, it doesn't matter when they were done. They don't expire.
Right.
Once they were done, they're good. It's just that you have to exercise them after a particular period of the passing of the person.
Within 4 years, correct.
Or it becomes ineffective. So,
right, and the power of attorney, and that's a very good point that you make. Once it's recorded, the durable power of attorney, and you change your mind, you want to change the beneficiary or the agent, you do also have to revoke it and file that revocation. Otherwise, that's good until you revoke it. But let's say that you name whoever you name as your agent. That's going to continue to have effect. Does that answer your question?
Well, I hope it answers your question, Elizabeth. But we have another question from John, who wants to know that at our Twitter, DavidL2490, that what John wants to know is he's got a parent who's given him power of attorney. And his question is, can the parent revoke the power of attorney while they're still alive?
Yes, he can. But again, he has to fill out a revocation document. And depending on whether he filed it, he also has to file the revocation and provide a revocation to the person that had the power of attorney. He has to deliver the copy of the revocation to the person having the power of attorney and provide notice of the revocation to any person who might be expected to conduct business with the person on your behalf. So
do you see that happening? We've got the baby boomers are aging. I'm the last group of the baby boomers, and lots of people aging, and it becomes difficult as you start to take care of your parents who are aging and having the talks about whether you should drive, whether you should have some care, and maybe you have the power of attorney and you want to say, okay, look, Dad, Mom, it's time to get rid of the car. And they're like, no, and we're going to revoke the power of attorney because we don't like what you're saying.
As long as I've been doing this, I've never had anyone come in and revoke anything. They may get... it's something very serious, and I've never had anyone come and revoke anything.
Yeah.
Never.
Well, I think that in those cases, what I've learned is that, even though they're older, they're people too, and they get to live their lives however they want, even if it's not how you would like to see. Just like you as a parent would like to see your children live their lives and make some decisions that they don't. You just got to let them live.
Sure. I think what happens is a lot of the problems come up when maybe within the families. Maybe, different siblings come in and say, oh, you gave it to Sam, but now I want, maybe I want to be the person on there. Well, parents exercised their decisions maybe 10, 15 years ago, and now the other kid wants to come in and be the person in charge. But remember, you elect agent, the first agent, and the alternate agent, and the third alternate, first, second, third alternate agent. So they're all on there anyway.
Right.
So what's there to revoke? If the first one's not available, then they go to the second one and the third one. So they're all on there anyway.
Well, I just love your story, Alicia. It's so interesting. And, when you meet people on the sidewalk, you don't know what's behind those beautiful eyes and what they've experienced. And you have such an interesting and inspiring story, a lot of challenges that you overcame that brought you to the point where you are now. We all have successes in our lives, right? We may not be billionaires, but we have successes, and it helps to share those stories to inspire and motivate others and learn from those challenges that we've turned into successes. And you really have done that, boy. Going to school, kids, job, married, mother, health issues, all kinds of good stuff, and you persevered, and I just thank you for being here and sharing your story with us. I think it's just wonderful. We want to thank the good folks at Houston City Living, Leasing, and Realty for sponsoring the show this month. You can reach them at houstonhcl.com or at 281-845-4425. They can help you sell a home, buy a home, lease, or rent. I know them personally. Give them a call. They're going to give you some great customer service. And once again, we're going to thank Jose Madrigal for the smooth tunes of True Soul as we leave the show. Be sure to tune in next week, Wednesday from 12 to 1, where we'll have our next guest. And you can see who that's going to be at Make It Happen with David Lorms on Facebook. And remember to tweet your questions at DavidL2490. Thanks.